Hello. Okay, everybody who's too late has to sing a song or recite a poem. Okay, then not. Fair enough. Okay, I only got half an hour, so I'm not going to go into too many technical details, although I have a topic here that I actually am very, very excited about, and I think it's very, very important. Electricity in Norway, and actually working connected to create offline. I've been working in Mozilla for quite a while now, and I've been traveling most of the time. I spoke at 42 conferences in 27 countries in 1 year. So I'm the proud owner of 12 different SIM cards that I keep putting in my phone depending on which country I'm in. I like hotel wireless that ask me to sign up for 12 different things before I can do my first connection. I know what it means to be offline, and I know what it means to be offline with very expensive, cool new hardware. Whereas we always see the people who are offline as the people that we don't want to work for. And I think it's important to understand that not everything is roses when it comes to technology, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. But on the other hand, we live in exciting times. I mean, computers nowadays, computing is so ubiquitous, it's just amazing. The things, Douglas Crockford talked about is we got like a gigabyte in our pocket, and that's our phone. And it has like 8 processors and these kind of things, and it only gets really, really hot using some 3D game on it and these kind of things. And we can do these really cool things that in the past I would have thought impossible to do computers, just desktop machines. I remember I went to like conferences when people showed like overclocked PCs with water cooling that ran at 500 megahertz. And you're like, yeah, right, that's never going to be a mainstream thing. And you're like, my phone only has 2 gig of RAM, that's shit. And you're like, really? That's how fast it went? But it's exciting what we have, because going online is not a thing anymore. You know, nobody thinks about that back in the time. Ding, 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 ding. And then you get the first bytes, and then your mom picks up the phone in the other room, and you're like, no! Going online is not a thing anymore. We are online the whole time. And that's why it becomes so depressing when out of a sudden it doesn't work. Because for us it's just like, we don't even know how it works. We don't care anymore. We're just like, oh, I plug my thing in and I'm online. I saw like kids' Christmas parties or kids' birthday parties when there's like, oh, I heard there's not going to be wireless, so I'm not going to come. And we're so used to that. And it's why it's depressing when it doesn't work. And it's a natural thing. Services, systems become natural over time. This is in England, where I live in London. They had these Oyster cards, these cards to actually go on the tube with. These things, well, that's my room card, was the same thing. So basically you had to put money on there, and you never had money on it, so it was too late to get into the train. And now they fixed it. Now that all credit cards are actually NFC enabled as well, you can just use your credit card or your debit card to go on the bus. The Oyster card has become obsolete. And it was this massive marketing campaign about the Oyster card being the coolest thing ever because you don't need money anymore. And nowadays you use your credit card and just swipe in and out of a bus or a train. And now they have warning signs like only have one credit card in your wallet or you get billed twice. So the natural systems go there that we just don't realize anymore how cool things are. Single location services integration on Android. The Android, Google Now, I get all my information there. I don't even need to open different apps. I got my birthdays there. I know that my plane is going to be late. It's going to be live, automatic updates and notifications. So my plane to Stockholm here is 10 minutes late. Great. Not that 10 minutes makes a difference. I was at the airport anyways, and that plane is not draggable. I would love to be able to speed it up while I'm on the train, but it's actually not working yet. But these are exciting things. I think this, when I worked at Yahoo and I worked in other companies and did hack days, these are the kind of things that we showed as mashups to what the future will be like. And now we have it and we're like, nah, whatever. You know, like, it doesn't really matter anymore. It's whatever, we use it. Seamless data retention and syncing. I take photos here, I go home, it's actually on my Google Plus already. I pick and mix the one that I want to do live, and then I have a post about this conference. My phone can get stolen, and it will be eventually. In London, it's just a matter of days, really, when it's going to happen. But my data is not gone because it actually went directly somewhere where it's retained for me, and that's pretty cool. And it's a steady stream of amazing data. We can get all the things all the time. We get news, we get weather, we get information about politics, we know when the train is late. All this stuff is really, really cool to take in and to understand. And it's us as consumers and creators as well. It's not just consuming, although let's be fair, it's about 90% of what we do nowadays because there's so much stuff out there. But we also create. We tweet, we put comments in there, we upload pictures, we do likes, we do things like ratings, we do all kind of things and we put it up into upload onto a page or onto the cloud. And this is where everything goes. And this is magic. I mean, if you showed that somebody 50 years ago, they'd be like, yeah, you're crazy. This is science fiction stuff. And yeah, Spock, or something like that, you know? But we have it every day now. And for us, it's a normal thing. It gets boring. It even goes so far that there's wonderful products like the selfie brush that actually you can brush your hair and you can immediately take a photo of it because you can put your iPhone inside your brush. And it's the perfect social media tool. And it is a paddle brush to boot. And it's just incredible. I mean, I forgot my brush today, that's why I look like this. But a selfie brush, isn't that amazing that technology has come that far? Isn't it beautiful that this is the kind of innovation that we put into microtechnology, semiconductors? Now we have a selfie brush. Voice recognition and wearables. I mean, Dick Tracy had this magical watch, and this is now the future. We have that right now. This is the Motorola 360. I got it at Google I/O, because I don't pay for things. Come to speak here, you get this as well. And this is incredible. I can go there now and say, like, what is the weather in London, England? What is the weather in London, England? Oh, I'm offline. So this is now a watch that needs to be tapped to show me the time. And nothing else. Because there's no offline case. People didn't think about, like, oh my God, you bought a magic smartwatch, you will always be online, right? Why doesn't there a fallback that actually voice recognition works while I'm offline? I have to be online to do voice recognition because everything I say into that thing goes into the cloud, gets analyzed and comes back. Isn't that somebody listening in on me all the time? Also, doesn't that mean that I have lots of data traffic that is really not necessary because I could have typed that in the same time that it sometimes takes to go to the cloud and come back? Also, no fallback. I mean, what's the weather in London like? Shite is the answer. It always is the answer. You can have a fallback like that. But we don't think about it because we have this science fiction thing in our mind. Like, it was all about like Star Trek and what's it going to be. And we heard these things before. Every time technology comes out, it's the best thing ever and nothing goes wrong. You don't see Star Trek when he's like, oh, beam me up. Well, you have to download the new upgrade to the beaming transporter thing first and like, please say yes to the terms and conditions. Are you okay if you share your transporter data with your friends? Have you invited a friend to use the transporter app as well? You just don't see this, but this is what we made out of this technology, and that drives me nuts. The future won't have flying cars and limitless connectivity. This does not happen. Her, the movie, was actually much more what the future will be like. That we share more in social media than with the people next to us. That we actually fall in love with the persona that we're online than our real life, because it's so much easier to be cool online than to be in real life. I mean, like you have like sweat in real life and you put things on you and you're dirty and things. It never happens online. You can always Photoshop yourself and you're awesome. I gave a TED talk about this, and it's just amazing how many people are in love with who they are online rather than who they are. Physics is against us. Copper cable in the ground, wires in the air, lots of people here at the same time trying to connect to the same wireless. This is against us, and this will not change unless we change the laws of physics, and we're not quite there yet. Maybe sooner or later, it's like, take the right drugs and you don't care anymore or something, but physics will always be an issue. Rust, dirt, things falling apart. And that's why it's fun when you talk about new technology. We never talk to the people who make routers. We never talk to the people who make like wireless transmission stations. The infrastructure has to be there. I mean, I can buy a fast car, but if the road isn't even, I cannot drive it. So I can have 16 IoT connected devices with me, but if my router only allows 10 connections at a time, what's going to happen with that? Geography is against us. I mean, you're in Norway, you have like places in the woods where basically there's no connectivity whatsoever, although the rest of the country is incredibly well connected. And I think that's something that people don't understand as well, that we're not in the Silicon Valley next to the router, next to the company that does the data, everybody out there. It's a big world. These are the connected devices on the world. And the redder, the more. And this is depressing. This is 2014. Africa is completely not lit up. Australia is only lit up on one side, strangely enough. Maybe a time thing, that it was a certain time of the day or something like that. But still, this is World Wide Web? Not really. This is welcome Western world. And look how awesome we are and with our cool brushes and everything. Whereas the people who could benefit from having a web connectivity and benefit of having an app that helps you to calculate things without being online, they're not allowed. They're not in the Western world. They're not the pretty people. They're not the ones with the flying cars. Sorry, no internet for you. But if you look at the numbers, the growth of economy of the web, where to go, what's happening next, this is in these countries. And this is why it was exciting to be part of the project that I'm on right now, to see that we went to India, to Bangladesh, and to places where people really are hungry for new connectivity, where they're hungry for a first phone to give them internet access, where the first thing they download is WhatsApp because they want to talk to their friends without having to pay for every single text message. And this is something we don't understand because we get too excited about the tech press telling us how many $1 million one company bought another company of money that doesn't even exist any longer, instead of bringing things to the world that make sense. We also have homegrown concerns, though. We're connected, not a problem anymore. I mean, I've got a 25 megabit at home, I've got 100 megabit in our flat in Stockholm, I've got something in the office, I don't know, and yeah, most hotels do charge you for the internet, but forget to actually change the router password, so you just log yourself in as admin and whitelist your MAC address, and you got access as well. So it's always easy to get internet access somewhere. But at the same time, can we trust what we don't know? I speak into that thing, it goes somewhere. It listened in on me. If somebody sat next to you and listened into you and told you the answer immediately, you'd be like, what a creepy person you are. You know, I don't know where that data goes. I don't know where it is. And we had lots of cases right now where like the celebrity nude photography, like out of a sudden like, oh my God, the government spies on my mobile phone. That's terrible. Oh, cool, somebody cracked a celebrity's photos and has that naked photos. That's great. What's wrong with people? It's the same intrusion, it's the same security flaw, it's the same problem. Just because it says cloud doesn't mean that you should put your stuff there and trust that it's going to be there forever. What if that company gets bought? What if that company out of a sudden has a terms and conditions that means that what you send is offensive to somebody in California, so you can't have that on their storage any longer? What if TwitPic, for example, TwitPic right now was basically tried to be bought, didn't get bought, and now was saying like, okay, we shut it down. Millions of photos gone. But now they actually donated both the domain and the photos to Twitter and said like, please maintain it, keep the photos there, it's now read-only. Which is the first time that happened. Other places like Yahoo Video and GeoCities, we just shut that down and it was gone because people uploaded it somewhere where it was free and available and simple to sign up for. So let's put the data there. So every time when you hear cloud, I think you should think about saying somebody else's computer. This is what the cloud is. It's still a grimy box in with a bad connection and some fizzing thing coming out in the corner somewhere. And it's somebody that you don't know that might be looking at your data, that might be analyzing your data and selling that data off to somebody else. It doesn't even have to be legally that way. It could be just somebody who is not happy with his company and somebody evil goes to them and offers him a bit of money to give him a bit of data. In the past, when I did security talks, it was all about call centers. It was never about protecting the call center software. It was making sure the people working there are happy. That I can't go in the pub to that person and say like, you know what, £400 for you extra next month if you give me a copy of everything that goes over your desk. Would that person say yes? Would that person say no? Same with the cloud providers. Same with the stuff where you put your things. We are constantly being monitored. And if it's happy, then by algorithms and computers. If it's bad, then by algorithms and computers, because it's not about what you don't have to hide. It's about what stories are being made up of your data, and you have to defend yourself against. If I only know 3 things of you, and I make up a story about you, and you can come up to you, you have to defend yourself against something that you weren't even part of. So I find it hilarious that we think the internet is free, and we give it to people, and we just click on things because they're free and it's fine, and we're fine if people just make up a story about us. I would love an ad network where I can see who I am, what I clicked, what they think that I want, and say yes and no to different things. I'm okay with ads if they advertise things that I want. I'm not okay with ads that show me the same crap that they show to everybody else because they didn't find any information about me or made up a wrong information. Google AdSense has that. Like, you can look it up what Google thinks you are, and it's hilarious how far off that sometimes is, especially when you travel a lot. I'm in like 12 different places. I'm one of the X-Men guys that can split himself or something. It's just great. So there's a need to an offline web, but we condition people to not believe in it. Because every time when something goes wrong, we tell them like, oh, there's no connection, everything is broken. You have to go online again, it's your fault, get a good internet provider, what's wrong with you? All applications have no fallback, as this one. Like, oh, has to be offline, an error occurred. Well, thanks, I know there's an error, but what could I do about it? Where's the data that is already on that device? How can I access that? Why can't I write an email and send it off later? Why can't I dictate an email and send it off later? I could do that with Thunderbird, I could do that with Outlook, I could do that with all the desktop things that we had that were now so ugly, it's not cloud. I gave a talk at TEDx Linz about social media and about how to be safe in social media and how to overshare and undershare and like how to not get addicted to social media and what people are doing wrong basically. And one of the fallouts, and I talked about this in my other talk quickly as well, was this app that I wrote that allows you to remove personal data from photos before you share them on the internet. And that's something that I just written for myself. You can take a photo. Well, actually, I've got time. Let's do it. I'm offline now, here in my computer. And if I now do a new page here, and I go to my hard drive, and I try to find where that is, to show you that it is offline, actually. So, cleaner something, was it? I forgot my own code names. Awesome. Cleaner, image data cleaner. There we go. And beach balls. Lovely. So if I open that now, I get this system here. I'm offline, you can see up there, I'm not on wireless or anything like that. So I go and I take a photo that obviously I just took with something. So I go to my photo uploads. Why does it always just randomly organize that? Camera uploads, isn't it? There we go. And why does it blink? That's not good either. So let's see if there's an embarrassing photo. Luckily enough not, it was just a company outside that I took there. Now I can take this photo and drag it into the browser, and then the browser tells me, offline that I am right now, what is the data in that information. I've got the Nexus 5 camera, I've got my positioning, X resolution, shutter speed value, date time, when I took it, if the flash was on, and down here I got the GPS longitude, latitude, and so on and so forth. This is all in that photo without probably 90% of the people taking photos without realizing it and then sending it out to the social media. Now I just do download clean image here, and then I downloaded the image. I can open it with the preview, it's going to be the same image, but all the extra data has been pulled out of it. The whole source code of that thing is a few lines of JavaScript. It's actually when you just take a cleaner.js, this is all the code that was necessary to make that work, and a library to read the EXIF data. Now I put that out, and because somebody asked me at TEDx that the tools that I showed were too expensive and too hard and too not easy enough, so I put that up and made it online. I made a massive sign in there saying, your photo does not get uploaded anywhere. All of this happens on your device, in your browser, it even works offline. 20 of the 50 tweets that I got about this, like, you do a safety thing and I have to upload it to some server? And you're like, no, didn't you read it? You can go offline and use that thing. But people don't expect offline to work. People just expect you to have to be online for everything, because you have to be online for a friggin' like button to appear. And you have to load it from 12 different servers. So we have the current tools on the web that are okay-ish. They're kind of broken, but for some use cases, they're totally fine to use. We've got offline applications with app cache. App cache is tricky. There's a long articles about this. There's a massive debate going on for years and years now. But it's supported by almost every browser out there. And what it means is you list all the things that you want to have offline of your application. So the first time the user goes to that page, that actually cache all these results. Next time they go to that page, nothing comes from the internet anymore. It's already directly from the computer, from the mobile phone, from the fridge, from the car, from the pet, or whatever Internet of Things thing your browser is running on. And that's cool. That's really good, because it means your server doesn't have much traffic, and you actually don't have to worry about the loading of it from your server for the people out there. It works offline, and they can do something with it. For static content, like a book, like a conference page, for example, that doesn't change much. Perfect solution, just use it. It fires an event when there is a change, and then you can ask the user, oh, there's a new version available of it, do you want to load that one? Good idea. Storing resources, you've got web storage, which basically is local storage, and it shows you what's being stored on the computer, and every developer tools now has a web storage quota and a web storage analysis, so you basically see what's in there. It's like cookies, but much, much better, because cookies were just mental if you look at the standard of that. It's just like sending the same thing with every request to the server, no matter what you request, it's just nuts. Then we got larger resources, IndexDB and WebSQL. IndexDB is Google and Mozilla. WebSQL was Apple and Microsoft as well. Well, Apple mostly. And now they're actually starting to get supported by all of them. So if you want to see the support of those, you have to put those two together. Because there's libraries like local forage that allow you to use just the simple syntax of local storage, but use the real databases that you have with IndexDB and WebSQL. So these are not like the 5 megabyte constraints that you have with local storage, but these are real databases, and you can do queries on it, and you can do all kind of cool stuff with it. You can do with a normal database, except it's on the machine and not on your server. So I think we need to use them well so that people start trusting the web to be offline capable and theirs to own. That people understand that not every website tries to spy on you, that not every website tries to get your data onto the cloud and analyze it as their own business model. I think there may be even something in browsers that should show that, like, this is an offline page, by the way, have fun. You can go offline now, you don't have to pay anything anymore, because there's places where you pay by the minute. And I'm not alone in this. Alex Feierke from Hoodie in Berlin gave a great talk about offline first, where he also talked about he showed the video of Google Glass where people were like base jumping and jumping out of planes, and they were all pretty and on boats and stuff. And he's like, this is not the world. I don't live like that, and I'm actually working in IT and make good money. This is not what we are. We're offline. And the biggest problem is offline is never offline. It's just maybe online, you know? You never have to no case whatsoever. It's like, hey, there's free wireless. Oh, I only have to go through like 12 different forms to sign up and give them my email and all kind of things. Or there's free wireless now, and it's really fast now, and it's dead next second, and then it comes back again. And the IP changed in between. So the offline-online case is always I can't trust the connection case. We're working on a solution, and the solution is called Service Worker. And there's a great video, like a short video by Jake Archibald, 14 minutes, called Offline First and the Service Worker, an introduction to it. What the Service Worker standard is that came from Mozilla, and together with Google we're working on that right now. And Google is implementing it in Chrome, in Firefox it's also in there to a degree already. It's basically a full network stack, so to say a router in JavaScript. So instead of saying I'm online, I'm offline, you can actually say, okay, I get these resources and I store them in this cache. I get these resources and I send that header back. So you got a full HTTP header programmable in JavaScript rather than having to go through the server or anything like that. And it has the offline case, it has the maybe online case, it has also the case that you can say, if it comes from that resource, only go through that. If it's a local file, read it locally, but go somewhere else with this. More in-depth with live demos and all is the other talk that I linked here, and the slides are already on SlideShare, and I'm uploading them later on and tweeting it for the TDConf thing as well. But that's a longer talk where he shows a live demo how to make something work with Service Worker right now. We are not quite there yet with Service Worker, especially we have to convince somebody like Microsoft and Apple as well, but that's only a short thing to do. They always understand things very quickly about this. But I want you to prepare for that next challenge. I want you to think offline first with your next product. Think about the people like me who are in lifts, who are in cars, who are in trains, who are on their bicycle somewhere in the woods, and they still want to use your application. An application, especially an application that doesn't work offline, is not an application. Why would I download 50 meg of data, then I have to go online to do something with it? That's not the idea of 50 meg of data downloaded. That's just teasing me or trying to make money with me. Offline ideas. Store static unchanged content using app cache, as I said before. Offer interfaces for users. Do you want to store this for later? A lot of people are like, oh, I never know when the user is online or offline. Why don't we ask them from time to say like, hey, you've done a lot of stuff. Do you want to store that later if you want to do it offline? An offline button in like Outlook and in Thunderbird and all these things in the past was a very normal thing. In every newsreader was a very normal thing. Check battery status and remind people to store instead of polling and storing. So a lot of polling in the background, like every time you type something, we store it automatically for you, is very, very heavy on the battery life, and battery life on mobile phones is a very big problem. Start with a very simple, easy to cache version that loads more on demand. Don't put the jQuery, Bootstrap, 6,000 fonts, everything in the first load of your page. Make it kind of pretty, working. And then load the things on demand once you have the first one out there. Because if something goes wrong, at least you have something that works. You don't have something that is an endless spinner. I don't want to see spinners any longer. I'm tired of these things. It's a clever ruse of saying like, oh, I'm doing something. No, you're not. It's not even showing data. It's just spinning. At least it would be like a 0 to 100%. It would tell me how far it is, but no, it doesn't. It just spins randomly. Store resources locally, libraries, fonts, images. The more you can put on these heavy machines that we have, those cool machines we have in our pockets, the easier it will be for people to use it later on. There's a great example, local forage versus XHR. Local forage is an abstraction library that you just put data in, and it stores it in local storage or IndexedDB or WebSQL or whatever is available on that computer. It goes through all the different options and stores it with the same syntax for you. And on average, an AJAX call to load the same blob of data, which in this case is 225K, took 787 milliseconds in AJAX just by loading it from the server, and that was the same server. This was not even a problem with DNS lookup or HTTP lag or something like that. It was the same machine. In IndexedDB, it was 25 milliseconds. 25 milliseconds versus 7 milliseconds, probably not that much of an issue if you think about it, but on general, 3 seconds and people will not use your app any longer. And they will basically start reloading the thing and crash it halfway through because you didn't think of the reload case either, because nobody's ever offline, right? Think about insufficient data and be frugal with your resources. Like on data plans where you have to pay per megabyte, like in Germany or places like that, it always cracks me up when people are like, oh, you really wanted to see that 50 megabyte video of our CEO saying hi on the front page rather than knowing how to book a room in your hotel. Think about that. Put the web on a diet. Slim down your dependencies. Do you really need Bootstrap, jQuery, and the huge intro images? When the user is on mobile, detect if it's a mobile, detect the size of the screen, and don't load the big images immediately. Load them later. Think about icon fonts, sprites, and other ways to reduce the HTTP requests. Anything you can collate into a single resource, you can cache. Anything that is 6,000 little images might be broken one or another, but instead of one image not loaded or loaded, makes a difference. Are you using whole fonts when you only need a few chars? Do you have all the weights of the font in there, and if just one version of the font? Google Fonts is really cool that way because it doesn't only cache it from a CDN for you, but you can also say the range of characters that you want to have. So you can include fonts with one character, for example, if you just need that one in a logo. And that is better than downloading the whole 600K font and including it. Find extra fat and remove it, not from yourself, from your website. This is CSS coverage in Firefox Developer Tools. If you go to Firefox Developer Tools and you press Command F2, you get a command line, you type CSS coverage start, and then you start surfing around your website. And when you close the bar afterwards, it shows you your CSS file and crossed out all the CSS that was never applied. So that way you can find out the CSS that you put in 6 months ago and never got used anymore. I remember I did visitbritain.com and I had like 400 lines of CSS, and when I left the company, 2 months later it was 6,750 lines of CSS or something like that, because the maintainer just put random stuff in there. With something like that, you can analyze it. In Chrome DevTools, you got the audits. That's the same thing there. So you can actually see the CSS, which is applied and which is not. And Chrome also has a great feature where you can simulate faster connections and lower connections. So you can simulate an edge connection, a DSL, a Wi-Fi connection, and so on and so forth. You can slow down the connection that you have. And it's amazing how many errors you find just by slowing down your connection, because we're on these shiny, cool computers with a direct connection into ground. That's not a clever way of testing your stuff. Test it in the nitty-gritty that your end users have out there. So let's make the web worldwide again. Let's make it available for people. Let's make it available and downloadable and installable. And I think this is the real evolution of us as web developers, to understand that the web is a commodity, but also is still a thing we cannot quite rely on. But we have great computers in our pockets that can store a lot of information, much more than we ever dreamed of. So let's put some good content there and not only images of kittens that we never ever look at again. Thanks.